At every moment, signals stream from visceral organs into the central nervous system, and autonomic nerves make necessary adjustments to ensure optimal support for body activities. The autonomic nervous system is also called the involuntary nervous system. It is also referred to as the general visceral motor system. The autonomic nervous system is divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic divisions. The sympathetic and parasympathetic divisions typically function in opposition to each other. These two systems permanently modulate vital functions in usually antagonistic fashion to achieve homeostasis. The parasympathetic division acts as the brake and is involved in actions that do not require immediate reaction. Think of rest and digest. The sympathetic division acts as the accelerator and is involved in actions requiring quick responses. Think of fight or flight. The sympathetic division is also called the thoracolumbar division. There are two kinds of neurons involved in the transmission of any signal through the sympathetic system: preganglionic and postganglionic. The shorter preganglionic neurons originate from the thoracolumbar region of the spinal cord. They travel to a ganglion, often one of the paravertebral ganglia, where they synapse with the postganglionic neuron. From there, the long postganglionic neurons extend across most of the body. At the synapses within the ganglia, preganglionic neurons release acetylcholine, which activates nicotinic acetylcholine receptors on the postganglionic neurons. In response to this stimulus, postganglionic neurons release norepinephrine, which activates adrenergic receptors on the peripheral target tissues. The activation of target tissue receptors causes the effects associated with the sympathetic system. There are some exceptions. First, the postganglionic neurons of the sweat glands release acetylcholine for the activation of muscarinic receptors, except for the areas of thick skin, the palms, and the plantar surfaces of the feet, where norepinephrine is released, and acts on adrenergic receptors. Secondly, chromaffin cells of the adrenal medulla are analogous to postganglionic neurons. The adrenal medulla develops in tandem with the sympathetic nervous system and acts as a modified sympathetic ganglion. Within this endocrine gland, preganglionic neurons synapse with chromaffin cells, stimulating them to release norepinephrine and epinephrine directly into the blood. Thirdly, postganglionic neurons for renal vasculature release dopamine at renal vasculature. Sympathetic dopamine activation to the kidneys dilates renal vessels, which increases blood flow and, in turn, increases glomerular filtration. The parasympathetic division is also called the craniosacral division. As in the sympathetic division, efferent parasympathetic signals are carried from the central nervous system to their targets by a system of two neurons. The first neuron in this pathway is referred to as the preganglionic, or presynaptic neuron. Its cell body sits in the central nervous system, and its axon usually extends to synapse with the dendrites of a postganglionic neuron somewhere else in the body. The axons of presynaptic parasympathetic neurons are usually long, extending from the central nervous system into a ganglion that is either very close or embedded in the target organ. As a result, the postsynaptic parasympathetic nerve fibers are very short. The parasympathetic nervous system uses mainly acetylcholine as its neurotransmitter. Acetylcholine acts on two types of receptors, the muscarinic and nicotinic cholinergic receptors. Most transmissions occur in two stages. When stimulated, the preganglionic neuron releases acetylcholine at the ganglion, which acts on nicotinic receptors of postganglionic neurons. The postganglionic neurons then release acetylcholine to stimulate the muscarinic receptors of the target organ. Let's look at the actions of the sympathetic and parasympathetic divisions. The parasympathetic division decreases cardiac output and heart rate. It also stimulates bronchial constriction, muscular relaxation, and pupillary constriction. The parasympathetic division increases urinary output and sphincter relaxation, and lastly, it increases secretions and the motility of the gastrointestinal tract. The sympathetic division does the opposite of the parasympathetic division. In addition, it increases glycogen to glucose conversion and releases epinephrine and norepinephrine at the adrenal gland. Lastly, let's compare the somatic nervous system with the autonomic nervous system. The neurons of the somatic nervous system innervate the affected organs directly and are highly myelinated compared to the neurons of the autonomic nervous system. The preganglionic neurons of both sympathetic and parasympathetic divisions are lightly myelinated and release acetylcholine. The postganglionic neurons of both sympathetic and parasympathetic divisions are unmyelinated. The postganglionic neurons of the sympathetic division release mainly norepinephrine, while the postganglionic neurons of the parasympathetic division release acetylcholine. If you like this video, please hit the like button below and subscribe to my channel to see more videos in future. Thank you for watching. Bye.